everyone, and welcome back to Jola Speaks. I'm very delighted to have you with us today and listen to me on this particular episode. So today we're going to follow on from what we discussed yesterday, and we're going to be looking at taking support for granted. And I've asked the question, are you taking the support, the care, the love, of the people that God has brought into your life for granted? We would explore the story of David in 2 Samuel verses 19, and we'll do verses 1 to 7, and we'll see how important it is to appreciate those that truly support us. So I read the NIV version. Joab was told the king is weeping and mourning for Absalom, and for the whole army the victory that day was turned into mourning, because on the day the troops heard it said, the king is grieving for his son. The men stole into the city that day as men steal in, who are ashamed, and they flee from the battle. The king covered his face and cried out aloud, "Oh, my son Absalom! Oh, Absalom, my son, my son!" Verses 5. Then Joab went into the house to the king and said, "Today you have humiliated all your men, who have just saved you from the life and the lives of your sons and daughters, and the lives of your wives and concubines. You love those who hate you and hate those who love you." That's a very tough statement to hear. You have made it clear today that the commanders and the men mean nothing to you. I see that you would be pleased if Absalom were alive today and all of us were dead. Now go out and encourage your men. And I stop there. Are you taking support for granted? You see, following yesterday's episode or last episode, and depending on how you watched it, right, we discussed David's grief over the loss of Absalom, his son, and that happened during the battle between his own camp and Absalom's camp, because Absalom was focused on killing his father to become and be the king of Israel, even though he was not anointed to. David was still the king of Israel. But despite the victory and the restoration of David's throne, David was so overwhelmed, by the death of his one son, and he wished he could have lost the battle and his own life rather than his son. Wow. You see, but let's consider another angle of this story. David's loyal men, the men that left their homes, comfort, wives, children, families to support and stand with David in the wilderness, they were so deeply committed. They were definitely his support system. They showed him true love and support. Yet, David was so consumed by his own grief, he failed to acknowledge their sacrifice. He failed to acknowledge the victory that these men achieved, right, over Absalom's camp. The fact that these men had also prepared David and his family, other kids, his wives, his concubines, they were the ones that were David were still protected. Because he was mourning, David failed to acknowledge that support he received from them. And so instead of David thanking them, he was weeping over the loss of his son Absalom that was determined to kill him. And in fact, as we see in verses 2 and 3, the mourning also impacted the army, the soldiers, because they couldn't celebrate, and they felt so ashamed because David was crying, right? So literally, David humiliated them despite the fact that they actually won the battle. It is so important to just really look at the context of this. Like, one has won a battle, yet one is acting as if they've lost the battle, because one man, the leader, is mourning for his dead son that actually went to kill him. You see? So I ask you today, and the best of us do this as well. So it's I think it's human, but something that we need to recognize. Are you taking support for granted like David did? David might have assumed that his supporters will always be there with him no matter what's the big deal. He ignored them so much and faced those that they were opposing him. As a leader, he should have encouraged and thanked them, especially for standing by him. There were people that didn't go with him, that were in the army, that went to Absalom's camp. Yet this guy supported him and went with him in the wilderness. His focus on his personal loss literally overshadowed the gratitude he owed to those that, supported him, his support system. If those men had left David, it would be hard for him to even survive, except God who helps him. Absalom's camp. The men were able to protect David and his family, yet he didn't realize. This reminds me of a personal experience a few years ago. I had this amazing leader that I was working with. Oh my gosh, she was phenomenal. I knew she was phenomenal, but I did not know the extent of how phenomenal she was. And yes, I did appreciate her at that point in time, but I feel like on reflection, I should have even appreciated her even a lot more than what she was. I know. So and after leaving her and moving somewhere else, right, I just began to realize how amazing she was. Like, her support was phenomenal. It meant the world to me. And each day I think of her, I'm so deeply grateful, about how she helped me in those times where, I didn't really understand how much help I needed and how much support I required, and how she stood up for me and guided me and spent time really helping and training me. It happens to the best of us. Let's not wait till the last minute or when it's too late to appreciate those who support us or when they leave us. Let us give them their flowers now when we have them. Because often it's so easy to take those that are so close to us for granted. Oh, it's super easy. It's super easy. You're like, well, they'll always be there. What's the big deal? Maybe our parents, our families, our close friends. But that is an assumption. We need to appreciate them deeply and diligently, and do it consciously and often, just so they know how important they are to you. Show them and always reciprocate their love. It is so important. Show them and always reciprocate their love. It is important. So as we wrap up this session today, I encourage you to reach out to those that have supported you in one way or the other. Those that have loved you, those that have stood by you, even in times where no one else did. Express your gratitude. Show them love, kindness. Be intentional in your appreciation. Don't wait till they are no longer there to realize their significance. Don't wait when it's too late. So I stop there and say, I hope this message has, really touched you to actually make that call, and also really helps you reflect on how good people have been to you, the ones that God has sent to you, your actual support system. Show them appreciation. And remember, love and support should never, ever be taken for granted. So until next time, God bless you. I love you. I love you. You and you. Bye.